All right, I started recording.
Okay. Eric's trying to get in the video.
The chair calls this meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. Thursday, January 28, 2021. This is a regular meeting of the Summers County Board of Education. And the roll call, the minutes should reflect that all 5 board members are present at this meeting in the building. At this time, Mr. Brogan, would you do invocation of pledge of allegiance for us, please?
Our Father in heaven, we just want to thank you for giving us another day. Thank you, God, for all these folks that have showed up for the meeting tonight to show their interest in board matters. Father, we thank you so much for each employee of the Summers County school system and their dedication to what they do. God, we just pray that you'd be with us tonight as we go through this agenda, that we give each item the proper amount of attention. Help us to make the best decisions we can for Summers County schools. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, approval of agenda and adjustments. The chair moves that we pull out safe and sound from the bills. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by the chair, second by Vice President Farley, that we pull from the bills to be considered separately safe and sound billing. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Are there any other needed agenda adjustments?
Yes, on, the textbook adoption,
That the committee,
that is the committee. We need to, remove a teacher, she said she can't do it. We need to remove Brianna Medley. And we need to add Elizabeth Blaylock.
you want to put that in form of a motion?
I make a motion, we remove Brianna Medley from the English Language Arts textbook adoption list and add Anissa Blaylock.
Chair would second that. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect that the changes on the committee for textbook adoption, there's been an omission and there's been an addition, and the board approved that. We'll take up that, the approval of that committee later on in the agenda. We did not approve the committee, we just approved that change in the agenda presentation.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. Angel, that this board now approve this agenda presented to this board by Superintendent Warble. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. 5 votes in the form that this board has approved the agenda presented to this board on January 28th by Superintendent Warble, subject to the past motions to make corrections. Is there any public comment, any green forms? No public comment. At this point in time, we have presentation. Christy Shaver, Superintendent Warble, I'll let you introduce this and handle it.
Well, it's gonna be like a 3-for-1. You have Mr. Lester, then you have Miss Schaefer, and then you have Mrs. Smith that are gonna give you basically an update on everything with technology. And then there is one that has $100,000 that Miss Schaefer worked on a grant to bring into our school system. So we're very proud of her for her efforts on that, and I don't wanna steal her thunder, so I'll yield to her right now.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer.
It's in our presentation.
You want to bring it up?
No, I'll just do it at the end.
So one thing that we were asked is to show some data on some of the applications and web services and applications for web services that we have purchased for our teachers and students during this pandemic. Some of them are unique to the pandemic, some of them are not. Some of them have been long-standing, some of them are a little newer, some of them are newer for different sections of different schools. But you're going to get an idea of the usage and maybe an answer to some of your questions, but probably not all of them. All right, so Google Classroom's the first thing, but what was the first thing that happened at the beginning of this particular term, or this since the new year, was we went live. And within 24 hours of going live, this many Chromebooks were returned damaged only from the high school and middle school. These weren't damaged over Christmas. This is people that just weren't engaged. So that is just in a 24-hour time frame. So those are people that re-engaged, knew they had to get on there live, brought these in, and had to have them repaired, just from the high school, middle school building. And we have statistics to show that. So this is your Google Classroom 30-day active, and 7-day and 1-day active user graphs. And so you'll notice when September started, and then you get a baseline, and then when we mandated live instruction, here's your students coming online. So that reflects the number of Chromebooks we saw coming back online. This is the teachers posting of content to Google Classroom, and it almost looks like a heart rhythm, and you got to get a baseline for it, and you really don't see it jump up that much here in January. A little bit, the spikes are a little higher, but all in all it's pretty much the same other than the Christmas and New Year's break. But what's striking, that is the students' posts on Google Classroom. Obviously more engagement than there was before live instruction. Newsella. And I mentioned this to Mr. Warble and Ms. Smith and Christy. Newsella, and Renee knows this, Newsella doesn't provide us very good statistics right now. Newsella is always telling us that they have a portal on the way for us to drill down and get statistics, but we've never seen this portal. So I contacted them and said I need some statistics. And they gave me, I'll show you what they gave me, and then I'll show you what I had to dig for. So this is active teachers in Newsella by week. This is active students and student usage by week. And the part that they couldn't provide us. So where we really wanted to see was Lexile level and growth. That's what Mr. Duncan asked for, was to show growth. And they don't provide that. So I asked them for a data dump of student usage, teacher usage, and assignments and grades. And they did. They gave me the raw data. And so I started digging through it. So this plots the number of views versus the number of assignments within Newsella. So this is the assignments, this is the views, these are the articles they viewed, and you can see you've got some people doing average views and a lot of assignments, and you got a lot of people doing a lot of views and no assignments, right? That's kind of what that. Well, how do I show growth? Because I knew this is what Mr. Duncan was going to be looking for, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this because I don't have any Lexile statistics. So what I did is, this is the average score per assessment, and this is the views associated. So the number of views versus the number of the average score. So someone who's looked at 180 articles scored this versus someone that saw 45 scored here. So it's just a scatter plot. And you might be able to see some trajectory, but there's really not enough data. Again, if you look at this, I think 16 assessments on the previous slide was the maximum number of assessments completed in New Zealand. These are the views per school, and this is the average grade assessment per school. All right, so now for what we all waited for, right?
Okay, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what Alex is before we go into everything that it is. The expectation of Alex is an hour and a half per week in grades 3 through 11 as a skills intervention. But Alex is for math. And what it is it's a program that meets every student where they need to be, because they take a beginning test that is an initial assessment that places them from how much they know. And from that point, students are given lessons that will help build their skills to get them where they need to be throughout a year. And it's within a course. So, how the students interact with it is that they can use a video to get the instruction from, if they're a more visual learner, or they can choose to look at it in like a written form. And you know, it's different for different kids. I have 2 kids, both of them have interacted with Alex for a while now. And my son, he doesn't like to fool with the videos, they take too long. And he can just very easily go through and look at what needs to be done, and then work on it in Alex and move right on. My daughter would prefer not to look at the words, and so she watches the videos. Both of them get the instruction that's necessary to move on throughout Alex. And Alex pushes you back to revisit other content even after you've mastered it. So it continues to roll back and catch things, and really a good learning tool. The information I have here, you can see is broken down. First, this is all schools. This is like a district level. And then for each school in alphabetical order goes down through there. Now, at the beginning of the year, all students take an initial assessment. And in that diagnostic, most of the time, it's a little higher than this. I wasn't surprised really. But here is what their beginning averages was. Now remember, we're talking about a course. And so we're looking at the end of the year, they should have completed 90 to 100% of the course to, feel like that they've been proficient in that course. So at this point, usually it's a little bit higher than this. Now these two were, the elementary schools, I guess, no, in the middle school, were a little bit higher. But, we lost a lot of instruction at the end of last year. And so I wasn't surprised that the initial diagnostics were a little bit lower. And then I went in and pulled the current data, the growth, just to measure growth, and here are the growth percentages. And we're about at halfway through the school year, and so you would anticipate that they would be somewhere around 50%, should be. And for the most part, they are. One thing that I really wanted to point out was the correlation, and there is a direct 100% correlation between average time and percent growth. If you look, the 2 highest average time places were Jumping Branch and Talcott, and if you pull over here, the 2 highest growth averages were Jumping Branch and Talcott. So if you look, to me, numbers are numbers, and they can say a lot of things. But to me, a correlation that is this direct tells you a couple of things. 1, it tells you it's a good program. And 2, it tells you if you spend the time in it, it'll pay off in the end. And this is a program that it's an online, we're talking about online stuff. It's things that the middle school, said skills and intervention. Middle school has a skills class, and part of the time they spend in Alex, and part of the time they spend in some of the things that Christy's going to talk about. But then, when we were, I'm a middle school person. It's really my world of expertise. And at the end of last year, when we went into the COVID times, what I call it, middle school instruction continued using Alex. And there was a lot of movement during that time because the kids were spending a lot of time in Alex at home. And, you know, you can even see it in their beginning scores. You know, their beginning score was, you know, as high as some of the elementary schools were. And a lot of that is because the students moved along the way. I moved students, every Monday was my day that I would move kids from one course to another. And I moved 10 to 15 students every week, moving up from one course to another. And, you know, this is one thing that I really have to say, because this is something I like, Alex, and I'm a math person, but this is something that can accelerate our students. We work a lot of times with kids that are low, bringing them up to where they need to be, but with this, the kids can move past their grade level. You know, they work all the way through their grade level, and then they get to, you know, 85 or 90%, and I can move them into the next grade level's curriculum, and they can watch the videos and read the information and move right along. We have kids in the elementary school that are working at a middle school level, and we've got kids in middle school that are working on a high school level. And it's because they can fill in their topics, and once they've finished the curriculum for that year, they can continue to move on. And this is without any, you know, real struggle with the teacher, because the instruction is embedded within the program. And so this is the information that we have on Alex.
May I ask you some questions on that?
Sure.
Can you go back to the previous screen? All of this data comes from the Alex program itself, correct?
Correct.
Average time, what does that relate to? Average time of the entire school on it?
Yes.
Could you explain, I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand. Say for instance, Hinton area.
Mm-hmm.
6.9 hours is spent by whom or what entity?
The kids are put into courses, and so by grade level. And at Hinton area, you know, it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th, because that's the grade that's working on Alex. The others are working on Freckle. And so there are different courses, and even within the courses, there's different groups of students within those. This is just an average of all the students within all the courses. Within individual courses, there's some of them had a lot more time, and in some courses there were some that had less time. This is just an average
So
for the
is it fair
school.
for me to assume then, and I'm not, it's 1.5 hours per week as our expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look, say, at Hinton area, that's grades 3, 4, and 5, right?
Correct.
So they are exceeding the amount of average time expected when you count all 3 classes together. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
it's not. The average time is the average time that's been spent during the school year. So it's the expectation is an hour a week. This is how much they've spent thus far in the school year, the average time.
Average time
Mm-hmm.
per the whole year?
For the whole year.
So how do you view that, since you work this all the time?
What do you want me, I mean, what do you mean, how do I view it? It does.
Is that,
And-
would that be your assessment that our use of this program is on the low side?
Yes.
Okay, then the beginning average is when they take their performance test, that's where, if you look at that whole school, that's where they fell on the average, correct?
Correct.
The current average, as we can see, has increased.
Absolutely.
And that's working within the Alex program.
Yes.
So then the growth average, that's pretty impressive growth for no more time spent in it. Am I assessing that properly?
You are.
I guess to jump in there, you gotta be careful reading numbers right now. Cause going from the beginning of the school year in September to this point in time, you can see work needs to be done. But you also have to be very careful of this, because this is one of many programs we use. And we have some kids that are not doing the work that they should be doing, and it's hard to enforce that when, if you're remote, and we did what we did that first quarter, we saw it wasn't working, we provide intervention, hopefully we will see that work in a couple months, because we're forcing people to get online now and do their work. Because before, we didn't have that. It was where people took it as a suggestion and not a directive. Now they're seeing it as more of a directive, and you're going to do the work, because we didn't have kids having internet halls coming to school and getting on these programs. So there's a push and pull there between what we can do and what can be done at home. So we have to be careful on that one.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, since you and your staff made the decision to get more live instruction,
Yes.
then we're seeing a little more engagement now. Is that correct?
Correct.
Also, is it safe to say that before, when we had students who were not coming to school, they're doing the remote, and some of them, to be fair, didn't have access to internet. So that would account for a lower average time. Would that be correct, Ms. Smith?
Yes, it would.
Then in looking at this, and it's no secret that this board for the last couple of years, we have been insistent upon, and this board has purchased products because we have a strong motivation to see an improvement in our math and ELA scores because of where they are in relation to the rest of schools and state. This program, I've never been involved in any voting to purchase it. I want to get that out here. But it is important, as being a member on the board, and for all board members to look at all of these programs, which the board has approved money for, to do an assessment of how much time they're being used for the money we spent versus the accomplishment. And I think that's one of our important positions we should do, because we are about student achievement, and everybody in this room is about student achievement. When I looked at the Newsella over there, if I'm interpreting Mr. Lester's docs, Newsella would be indicative that we don't have even as much participation in it as we do Alex. Would that be correct assessment?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to this one, given the small amount of time and all the other things we've had to deal with, adversity with COVID, this is pretty impressive improvement, is it not?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it would seem to me that this program and some of these other programs we're looking at, Mr. Warwood, would you say that these programs, our county and our kids are being availed of some good programs that would help if the time is spent? It would help their achievement. Do you think we get the bang for our buck?
I would say on this program, and then Freckle's going to be talked about a little bit. Newsella, the jury's out on that. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other, because we have asked numerous times from the company to provide us data on Lexiles. If I'm a kid that reads a lot, so what? If I'm a 7th grader and I'm reading 5th grade level, that's not showing me anything. They're just reading easy books. But if I'm a 7th grade kid and I'm reading 7th or above, then I can say, okay, that makes more sense. So we have to be careful when you look at the data. This data here, Alex, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can drill down deeper with it, but when people start seeing what you can do with it, and Amy said it perfectly, her daughter likes videos, her son likes reading. I'm the video guy. That would make more sense. I'm a visual person. Reading something wouldn't help me, so I like that it gives both options, and it prints out data and spits it out to say your usage, how long, and where my kid is, and where they started and where they're going to go. So that's what I like about this particular program, and Freckle's similar to that as well. But at this point in time, you saw from Mr. Lester that since we've told people starting When school came back this new year, we're doing things a little differently because we saw option 2 was not where it should be. And so when we force people's hands to come to school and go to an internet hall or be active, live teaching really helped that out, which that kind of correlates with what Alex does as well. So I hope in the next couple of months when we give you a report in the spring, this will look a lot better, and so will every other program we use as well.
Because you all are actively pushing increased usage of these programs that we pay for, correct?
Well, I can't say that I'm physically doing that, but that's what I have.
That's what
The-
you're
that's-
wanting.
But they do as much as they can because there's other programs and there's other subject matter that I don't have enough of. If I could clone these ladies, and then also I have to give Mr. Smith credit too, he's not here, but they do a bang-up job of providing support. I wish when I was teaching I had one of them as a guide on the side because they're very good at helping and not doing anything where there's a judgment. It's just, what can I do to meet you where you are as a teacher, and I'll help you so you can help the kids. And they know their data and they know these programs. And matter of fact, they test it out first before they ask someone else to do it. And I really appreciate all their efforts with this.
Now, I really want to say, option 1 and option 2 parents especially, this can be your best friend.
It can, yes.
Because I am not a teacher. Believe me, I have found that out the past 6 months. And I was really concerned because they basically lost instruction starting in March.
Yeah.
And I was one of those parents who annoyed their child by making them continue to do Alex every day. They would tell me 20 minutes, I would make him do 30 to accommodate for the 10 minutes that I knew he was going to complain about doing it, to get all of his instruction in. And what's great about this is that it is tailored to the child. So if a child doesn't have mastery of a particular thing, it will keep going back to that.
Yes.
So some days when he does his Alex, he'll have mastery of 2 or 3 different things, and that's great. And then we have days like Friday where we didn't master one. We had to keep going back. And at a time like this, when you need all the help you can get, especially if you're trying to try to do some of this from home, it's your best friend. So if you have the internet and you can utilize this, I recommend it highly. It's probably saved half of my hair because it was coming out.
I'll tell you, on the same type of personal note with it, my daughter was in 9th grade algebra last year, and when March went out, she was at about 45% in her Alex, which was not where I wanted to see her. And so she worked every day and into a little bit of the summer until she had accomplished 80% of it. And then when she went into this year to do her geometry initial diagnostics, she was second in the class with her score. And I absolutely attribute it to that because I didn't do it. I was too busy. March through May was a very busy time for us.
It was.
And everybody had a lot of questions, and I couldn't be the mom teacher that I could have been because I'm a math person, but I just didn't have time to do it. And so that was what happened. And so I've always, I'm partial to it because I've seen it work very well at my house.
Ms. Farley, your child saw growth using this program.
Yes.
I know we have a former board member, and there's been really great growth observation there. Is this true, Ms. Smith? Let's say you're at Summers County High School and you're in Algebra 1 class.
Correct.
And you're paired up with Alex in Algebra 1.
Some of them are in pre-algebra because they didn't have the skills for algebra.
So, this program then, as I understand it, when it gives that kid that's in that class, if it finds that they're deficient, not quite ready for that class, does it take them back and start building the skill levels for foundations that they need to get them through that?
We take them back.
You take them back.
We put them in where they're supposed to be, and if they score less than 15% on their initial diagnostic, then we push them back a level. And they take another initial diagnostic until they are above 15%.
Until they're ready to do the work of that program.
That's right.
So this is truly personalized and individualized to meet our kids where they are and give them assistance. So if you're way behind and you spend the time, then you can realize enough growth to make up your loss over past time. We're in that.
Depends on how far behind you are. I mean, it would take a lot of time, but yes, in theory, absolutely.
And the lowest average time there also correlates to the lowest growth average.
It's a direct 100% correlation. If you look at the time in and the growth, they are directly correlated.
If this program and some of these other programs, as we're in school more and you're more proactive and you've got more control of the students getting involved, if we increase the time spent on this program and other programs, is it reasonable to assume that between now and June 1 we could see even more growth based upon increasing the amount of time?
I believe that there will absolutely be increased growth because there's more access to the time available.
So these tools that this board's paid for, this program and other programs, if we aggressively use them, then in spite of this COVID pandemic dilemma that we've been in that has so impaired instruction, we have an opportunity, we have a tool that if we can get kids more involved in it, we can make up ground in our ELA and in our math, Mr. Ward. If
Well,
we get more engagement.
That's the goal every time. That is the
Do
goal.
we have in place a tool that would help you achieve that goal if it is utilized?
We do now that we retaught our staff and provided support to get it live instruction, which then ties into this instruction as well.
You can't beat live instruction.
Nope.
And you know the program is fantastic, and it was super fantastic for when we have to be out and remote and things like that. But you're still not going to beat the live instruction that you can receive in the classroom, and the engagement. I think that from the data that you saw, that at the very end everything shot up with the student engagement because they were required to be online or else they'd be counted absent. And and it also the internet halls at the middle school, high school have really been beneficial because we've got kids. You know, there's a lot of kids in there, really, a lot more than I thought would be, that didn't have the opportunity to use these things because they didn't have the internet available at their house.
I know what kind of instructional work you do. Let me ask you, if you were a math teacher at any level, elementary, middle, or high school, can you briefly tell us how you would use this program to augment your personal instruction in a way that would more positively benefit a greater number of your students? Because, as I understand it, they can access this anytime they have internet, right?
Correct.
What would you share with us, and then perhaps with other people who are listening? And I'm putting you on the spot, I know,
You
but
are.
I know you can handle it. And if you want to come back and tell me about that some other time.
I was
I'm
gonna
just
say,
curious
to be fair to her, could we hold off till maybe next month so she
Would
could?
that be okay?
Sure.
Yeah, how would you do that? And then how would we pass that along? Because with that meager use of time and with that growth we see, it looks to me like that, Zella and some of these other programs we're gonna talk about, they provide a venue for us to really help and grow, and that's what the board's looking for. Anybody else have any comments or questions? I've done all the talking.
I just agree with you. It looks like a lot of bang for the buck. No more time.
Well, and then we can have Ms. Schaefer show you the other program, which is Freckle,
Freckles?
and I'll have Ms. Smith. I'll bail her out and say, let's hold off on that so she has time to prepare. If you want something well done, then let her have a little time to plan that, and we'll make that happen.
I'm aware of that. I apologize.
No.
That's all right.
Well, you loaded it with, you put her on the spot, and I want to help bail her out, so.
So, I apologize.
No.
That's all right. I can
I'm
handle
eagerly
it.
await for your response because I know it'll be an excellent one, and I want to hear it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
You're gonna have to charge them for the next one, right?
Our next program is Freckle. And Freckle uses with 4 different subjects: the ELA, the math, the science, and social studies. So they can use it for all that. The reports that we get are for ELA and for math. We don't have reports for science and social studies. So Freckle ELA, the expectation is for it to be used as a resource. And you can see that the schools here that are using Freckle, and this shows the number of students who are struggling in ELA.
Does this program identify them as struggling?
It does.
It does, okay.
Yeah, that's how they identify them. Then students that are growing, this is the number of students. The percentage of growth You can see the percentages of growth, the average grade that the students have grown thus far, and the accuracy whenever they're answering their questions. This is the accuracy for the ELA. Freckle Math, the expectation is to use as a resource in grades 3 through 8, and in grades K2, it's used as their math assessment. And you can see, and this is, I don't have the assessment data up there. This is the students in math that are struggling at the schools, the ones that are growing, the percentages of growth, the average grade that they have grown, and the accuracy when they're answering their questions. Accelerated Reader is another program that's used. This is one of the reading programs. And the expectation of it is students are set individualized goals based upon their reading level, their Lexile level. And each student, each 9 weeks, has a goal, and they read books. The books can range from a half a point to 20 plus points depending on the level of the book. So they'll read the book, they'll log on, and they'll take a test on the book. And kindergarten, they will begin second semester because they're just learning to read, so they start second semester. So you'll see first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, and a lot of this is attributed to where students haven't been in the classroom and having access to the library and to books. I expect to see huge growth for the third 9 weeks. Another program that this is some teacher testimonials on AR. They really work hard with this program, and Kristen Richmond sent me this information, and I felt that her words needed to be said. That Accelerated Reader at Talcott is used school-wide, and they're very proud that they have already earned, whether it's a half a point to ever how many points that so far the kids have earned 2,083 AR points. They're very proud of that, and they work hard with this, and they reward their students each 9 weeks for meeting their goals. They also have Points Club. I know that at Hinton area, they have charts in the hallway where they move up with the number of points, and I know that Jumping Branch, they have a karate program that they developed that they use with this, where kids move up. At Talcott, the PTO has purchased some items that they're going to raffle off at the end of the year, and the higher the point club, the more times that the student's name will go into the raffle. And some of the stuff that they've purchased, that PTO's purchased, are prize boxes, board games, bikes, scooters, and a Nintendo Switch. So the more they read, the more times their names goes into the drawing. They also have a class-wide competition to encourage teamwork and for them to work together. That's part of their Leader in Me program, and teaching the teamwork and how everyone contributes and works together. And the class with the most AR points each 9 weeks receives an award that they hang on their classroom door. And at each nine weeks, when they have a new winner, that award will travel with them.
Can you explain how the AR points are required?
Yes. Each book that they read based on the Lexile level is worth so many points. Usually for kindergarten, first grade, they'll start out as a half a point. And as the Lexile increases and the books are longer and more difficult, they earn more points. And the teachers have went through and labeled each book, and there's a little program that they use. They scan with their tablet, and it tells it how many points. And some of their stories in their reading book can count, so they can take tests on those. And that when they take that test, if they, I think that the score is, correct me if I'm wrong, 80 or above, yes, then they get the points or partial points. If they get 100, they'll get them all, they'll get partial, but if they score under 80, they get no points for that. They have to pass that test.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Reflex Math is a program that's used at Hinton area and Talcott. This was used at Jumping Branch, but this year they are not using Reflex Math. They've taken their energies and moved it more toward Freckle. So that's where Freckle's where they're spending a lot of their energy. And the expectation of Freckle is to use as a resource, and what Freckle does, it's math facts. The program reminds me of flashcards, where the facts will pop up on the screen. They have a number of seconds to answer. It's just repetition of the facts, the multiplication facts, the addition facts, the subtract. And this is how many students that are actively using it. Green light, the percentage for the green light, if they get so many facts correct in the period of time that they have, they get a green light. If they don't get the required number, and I'm really not for sure what the required number is, I'm sure it's a percentage, my guess is 80%, then they'll get a red light or a yellow light, that they need to work on their facts, and once they get it, it will move them up, and the teachers can move them up. The average fluency gain, Hinton area, the average is gaining 42 facts, Talcott 46 facts. The fluency gain, and this is the data that the schools have sent. One school sent it by percentages. At the beginning of the year, they were 45% in fluency, and now they're up to 65%. And the total of facts that have been solved so far, as of 2 days ago, I think is when I pulled when this data was pulled, for Reflex Math. Some teacher testimonials on Reflex. I'll just briefly read one to you. Reflex Math gives my students the repetitive practice needed to become math masters. It's engaging and unique based on individual ability. It directly addresses the skills for 8 math standards in 2nd grade, giving my students an advantage to progress rather than to require reteaching when a new skill or standard is taught, and that's for Mr. Ramsey. Ms. Sarah Fix talks about the kids find it more engaging than doing math facts on pencil and paper. They can use it. It's more like a game, which they're really interested in, and they just pop up on the screen and they have to type in the answer. And another teacher testimonial from Lindsay Kales, 3rd grade, one of the biggest standards they have are their multiplication facts. And she talks about that it's the 2nd year that Talcott has used Reflex school-wide, and they're starting to reap the benefits of it in 3rd grade and even in 4th grade. And she talks about some of her students. She normally starts multiplication directly after Christmas, but she has 17 students, and 6 of her students had already began learning their multiplication prior to Christmas. And out of these 6, 4 of them were already 50% or higher by Christmas on their multiplication fluency. Now a little bit about the Verizon Innovative Learning Grant. This is a grant that we got last year, and it is a grant for rural girls. And what it is, it was a camp that was supposed to take place last summer for 50 girls, and this year we were to move to 100 girls. And because of COVID, we didn't get to have that, so it was put on pause for a year, so now we're starting to move forward. And because of COVID, there's been a lot of changes with the grant, and I'm just starting to learn about that. They're getting into the process of setting this up as a summer camp. And one of the big changes is it was set up to be a face-to-face camp, and now it can be a face-to-face camp, or it can be a hybrid, or it can be all virtual with their different learning paths. And Verizon believes that all children should have access to technology and quality STEM education. And through Verizon Innovative Learning Program, students can achieve, learn, and create through innovative next-gen technology influence lessons. So 4 of our Summers County teachers will receive training through Arizona State University on the technology and the curriculum. We're getting an entire curriculum, access to that, and it's going to be through Canvas, which is an online platform for learning. And there'll be 4 full days of training for those teachers in April, and they're going to cover the 4 content areas of STEM. They're going to have immersive media, which is our coding. They'll have the digital product innovations, which is our 3D printing. They're going to have smart solutions, which is the design thinking, the engineering, and the artificial intelligences, the AR, artificial reality, and virtual reality. So they'll have equipment, and they'll get to experience that. And as I go through the process, I have a webinar tomorrow about all the changes that have taken place to the program, so I'll know a lot more, and I can update you all as we move through this process for this grant. I'm very excited about it. I really like the curriculum. I got to preview it a little bit, and it's the entire curriculum that Arizona State University has developed and sharing with us. And this is all made possible from a grant through Verizon. So I'm very excited about this, and look forward to this, and look forward to sharing more with you as I learn about the changes that have taken place.
Very cool.
I'm very excited about this.
Really cool.
Ms. Schaefer.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of the board, thank you for the work that you did in securing that grant. It's most appreciated, not only by us, but everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does that conclude the presentation, Mr. Worrell?
Yes, it does. They did a great job, and
Absolutely, very good job.
I think you get some people that you barely have to say anything, and it's like in track when you false start. It's good that they false start, because that means they're already ahead of me, and I just got to make sure we're doing okay. And they're self-directed people, and they do what's best for kids and the community. So I'm so excited about getting that money to provide to our young girls and the exiting elementary and going into middle school and exiting into high school. We can try to get 100 young ladies in that STEM initiative. And right here's 2 very good role models for our girls to see. Not that I'm going to twist them into taking a summer job. That's not my point. But we want to make sure these kids have an opportunity, and it's nice to have people like this who get money and then take those resources and turn it into more than what I could even imagine. So I'm blessed to have them on our staff, and we want to keep them around for a long time and keep them happy. So thank you, ladies. We appreciate you.
And Superintendent Worrell, for those people who are listening, the acronym STEM, if you enlighten them on what STEM stands for and what this is focused on from an educational standpoint.
Yeah, science, technology, engineering, and math. And then there's also STEAM, and you put an A in there, and that's for the arts. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, we can create all kinds of names for this stuff, but
Just want everybody to know. the
yeah,
focus
yeah,
there.
that's a good idea.
We move to item 6, approval of minutes for January 14th, 2020. Chair moves that this board approve the minutes of January 24th, 2021. There's a motion on the floor from Chair, second by Mr. Brogan. This board approve the minutes for January 14th of 2021. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. 5-0 vote in the affirmative. Minutes for January 14, 2021 were approved. Moving to item 7, student success stories. Mr. Mann, Mr. Wardle, Marty Mann.
Mr. Man.
I'm gonna let you take that one on. Get him, Mrs. Man.
Mr. Wardle,
I think that's really what
would
come
you
out.
please introduce
I'm gonna just.
Mrs. Mann?
I don't even know if I want to step near you right now. No, Marty Man does a great job with special ed. No.
I apologize.
No.
I'm not at all embarrassed.
No.
for making that tongue twister.
This is what I like about the office here. We have good people, and I think everybody just you got to have fun with what you do. And Marty's going to do a great job telling you everything about special ed with some success stories. So, Marty, it's all yours.
The highlight tonight is on the IXL program, and that's one of the programs that we presented to you guys to purchase for special education. So I just want to highlight some of our students that have really excelled working on this program. and I'll try to work this thing. I'm not sure how to do this.
Let me see if I can help.
Yeah, you might have to help. I'll just do it this way.
Okay.
Is the slide advance working?
All right. Instead of trying to tell you what IXL was, I found a short little video. I'm gonna let it kind of explain to you what the program is, so you can kind of, you guys can see and the people out there can see what it's about.
Welcome to IXL, where we make it easy for you to meet every student's needs. Trusted by over 400,000 teachers and used by 8 million students, IXL is a platform that makes it simple for teachers to implement personalized learning effectively in their classroom. IXL is built on 4 key components: a comprehensive K-12 curriculum, a real-time diagnostic, personalized guidance, and actionable analytics. They work together seamlessly to give you everything you need to differentiate instruction and help your students grow. And we know that IXL's approach to learning works. In studies covering 49,000 schools in 20 states, results show that schools using IXL perform better than schools using any other program or method by up to 17 percentile points. And those gains keep increasing the longer a school uses IXL. Let's take a look at how IXL can help students achieve more. IXL has spent 10 years creating a comprehensive curriculum with more than 8,000 skills covering math, English language arts, science, social studies, and Spanish. IXL's curriculum is completely aligned to the Common Core and all state standards, including TEKS and Virginia Standards of Learning, as well as popular textbook series. With this extensive content library, teachers can rely on IXL to support any lesson or any learning need they have in their classroom. As students learn and grow on IXL, IXL Analytics provides you with actionable insights that help you understand their progress and make better instructional decisions every day. The Trouble Spots report helps you use your class time more effectively. It identifies the skills that your students are struggling on most and shows you exactly what to reteach so you can get them back on track. And with Live Classroom, you'll know right away when a student needs help. A teacher favorite, this report gives you a live look at class progress and alerts you when students are stuck or off task. You'll be able to step in and provide support the moment it's needed. IXL uses insights from students' work in the curriculum to provide personalized skill recommendations. IXL's personalized guidance gives you another simple but powerful way to differentiate instruction. These recommendations are always up to date and guide each student with skills that will help them tackle their trouble spots, extend their learning, and more. Teachers can use IXL's real-time diagnostic personalized learning even further. Lightweight and easy to use, the real-time diagnostic assesses students' grade level proficiency on key math and language arts strengths. Based on those results, the diagnostic generates a personalized action plan for each student, providing skills that will help them fill learning gaps and grow. With this comprehensive portrait of student knowledge always at hand, teachers can make smart decisions about how to reach every student where they're at right now. With IX.
So, I know it's a lot like Alex, and I'm not taking anything away from Alex because I used it Alex last year. But some of our kids in special ed that struggle didn't always like working on Alex. One of the big drawbacks with Alex was you had to totally complete the diagnostic before you could start working, get your learning path and the skills that you needed to work on. The thing with IXL, it's a running diagnostic. So the kids don't have to complete a diagnostic before they know where they need to be. They can start out doing a diagnostic and it immediately starts giving them lessons and skills that they need to work on. So just like Alex or any of the other programs that we use, it does help our kids master the essential skills they need, and it is at their own pace. So whatever level they're on, that's where it's gonna start them at, and as they achieve. I spoke to some of the kids, down at the middle school. They like, IXL a little bit better than Alex because it does utilize fun, interactive type questions. It has the built-in support, just like Alex does. It will do like a tutor kind of thing. It'll show them videos. It'll give them more support, and there's motivating rewards. So they get certificates. I talked to the teachers down at the middle school, and every Friday, as kids learn and they get a certificate, they've mastered something, they have been printing their certificates off and giving them to them on Fridays. And kids that are at home doing the remote learning, they've been mailing their certificates to them. So it's a program that's working. You guys allowed us, we bought the program, we have math and ELA for 3 years. We've got science and social studies for 1 year free, and it is aligned with the West Virginia standards. And I was looking at it today, just going back and making sure I had up-to-date data, and the trouble spots, I wanted to see what it would show the teachers. And so when you click on that trouble spot, it immediately shows you why you have 5 students that missed question number 3. So you can immediately help those students to why they missed that question. And it does that. You may have 3 students that missed question number 10. And it gives you real up-to-date data on why those students missed those questions, and then what you can do. It gives suggestions and recommendations on what you can do to help them master that skill. So I think it's a really good program. And like I said, I'm not taking nothing away from any of the other programs. It's just something that we wanted to try with special ed to see if we could help improve their skills. So the next couple of slides.
Welcome to IXL,
No,
where we make it easy for
I want to go on. I looked at the middle school because the middle school teachers and students are the ones that's using it the most. So Miss Hannah, her class, you can see up to date. It took us back to September the 8th because you had to put the start date of your school. We did not have this program up and running on September the 8th. I think true up and running was probably towards the end of October when we really got everything up and running. So to this point, Miss Hannah's kids have answered 1,782 questions. They have mastered, sorry. They have mastered 76 skills, and they are proficient on 81 skills. And like I said, it does them at their level. And so far, they've spent like 7 hours on the program. Her students typically use the program in school. Her students don't always get on the computer and stuff at home. This is the data for Miss Yates. Her class, they have answered over 12,000 questions, and they have mastered 147 skills and proficient in 191. And this is ELA or math skills. It's not ELA because the way we have them registered in the program, it's by their caseload. So she mostly has 6th grade on her caseload. So these kids are mastering skills in math or ELA. Okay?
She has a good chunk of them at home too.
Yes. And they've spent 80 hours on. This one is Miss Muncie. She mostly has 7th grade on her caseload. So her students have mastered 150 skills, and they are proficient in 195 skills. Her and Miss Muncie and Miss Yates are pretty much back to back. The big winner is Mr. Muncie, and I don't want to give him a big head here, but his students, he has mostly 8th grade They have answered over 15,000 questions. They have mastered 315 skills, and they are proficient in 372. So his students are doing really well on the program. And again, it's like any other program. How much time you spend on it is how much you're gonna grow. And so not just to give a shout out to our teachers, I wanted to give a shout out to the students as well that are working really hard. Oh, before I do that, this is the overall, this is the whole middle school, and this does show math and ELA, and you can see they're definitely rocking it more on the math side. They have mastered 318 skills and proficient in 362, 93 on ELA, and 124 proficient on ELA. So they are working a lot harder on math than they are ELA. And then this breaks it down by grade. The pyramid looking thing is for math, and the book of course is for reading. This is 6th grade, the total amount of questions that they have answered, how many skills they practiced, how many they're proficient, and how many they've mastered, and then the same with 7th and 8th grade. So they are working, the kids are working, and they are improving. The next slide, this is Miss Hannah's kids. These are her top achievers in her class. I'll just let you look at the names. And so they're doing a really good job. These are the top achievers in Miss Cheryl Yates's class. And the funny thing, Miss Muncie's kids are the exact same kids that Miss Yates. So they have the same kids that are working hard and achieving, and then Mr. Muncie's kids, those are his top 5 kids in his class that are working hard. So just wanted to say congratulations, a job well done to the students and teachers. And then a challenge to the rest of the special ed teachers, you need to get your students on IXL and get them working. And the middle school, keep up the good work. Do you have any questions?
Well, Marty, man.
Yes, sir.
I
Don't you start asking me a bunch of questions like you did Miss Smith.
I appreciate that shout out there. IXL, I want to make sure, it is a program that's specifically designed and engineered for special education children.
No, it is not just for special ed, it is for all.
Okay.
It's just when, being a teacher last year, sometimes working on Alex was a struggle. I mean, we had kids that was rocking it and doing great with it, but there's some kids that they really would get frustrated because of trying to do that diagnostic, and it was all on your own. And so this year, talking to the teachers and stuff, we wanted to try to find something that would help the special education students grow. And actually, Mr. Muncie is the one that told me about IXL. They used it last year when they went remote in Mercer County. And so I started researching it and looking at it and talked to Dr. Knott about it. And Dr. Knott was familiar with it. Apparently, we had used it in the county a long time ago. Gifted had used it. So the good thing about it, when I started looking into it, they've added a lot more to it. They have Spanish added to it now, and it is from pre-K to 12th grade. And they even add the SAT practice in, so the kids at the high school level. When I met with all the teachers, some of the high school students wanted to try, teachers wanted to try their students on IXL. Most of them at the high school level are using the other programs. It's more of our elementary and middle school, and honestly, it's our middle school that's using it. I didn't put all the data, all the other schools, because I wanted to shout out to the middle school, but the middle school teachers and students are the ones that are really using this program, and it's showing that they're growing.
Superintendent Warble, I think we on the board would like to say thank you for this proactive move on the part of Marty and Dr. Knott to had something that wasn't working as well for exceptional children. And so what you've done here is you've modified instruction by finding another tool that works better. And it's that type of proactivity that makes for good instruction in any county. So on behalf of the board, we want to thank you all
Thank
for
you.
that. That's very special.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks, Mrs. Ham.
Thank you again, Marty Man. Well, instructional initiatives, we've seen a lot of instructional initiatives,
Yeah.
and that's good. Would it be fair to say under this Superintendent Warble, do we have, as a board given you and your staffs, do you have enough tools at this time to proceed with good, positive instruction? Do you have what you need at this time?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we've, everybody's got fatigue of this virus.
Yeah.
But I would say that nobody knew anything about this, but it has pushed people into a new realm of uncomfortable, but yet they're finding new ways to make things happen. And you know, at the beginning of the year, we had the charge of accepting the challenge, and you can see the challenges we're trying to accept and move forward. But since we've moved forward this new calendar year in 2021, supporting people to go back to live instruction has been the game changer. And so I can't wait to see a couple months from now how much we've grown even from the point we are at right now.
So if we summarize this, is it fair to say that some of these programs, I know you mentioned something, you still had some questions about, there might be some of these programs that you look at or one of them and you're not satisfied with it and you will modulate it or discard it, is that correct?
Yes.
And,
Yep.
okay, so then you have tools that you need. Also, it would seem to me that as we get back to more normalcy, everybody's gonna get better with these, and these are tools. One thing we don't want to do as a board, and you see this happen throughout my career, we buy something, we say it's great, we use it, next thing you know, it's on the shelf, and we're looking to buy something else. This board, we don't wanna do that. You make good decisions with what you bought, and you make them work, and we won't wanna see that continue use, so
Yep.
I think that's great. Thank you all very much for those presentations.
Did a good job.
Community volunteerism, I know we had a great deal last
Right.
meeting, we got everything today,
No, not right now.
okay? Item 10, approval of bills. We are pulling out the safe and sound billing, so all bills other than safe and sound billing, and of course with the exclusion of any James and Law McGraw-Hill, which I do not see in there. As chair, I would move that we approve the paying of the bills, not safe and sound billing at this time. Is there a second? There's a motion on the floor of the chair, second by Mr. Angel, that this board approve the bills as presented to us by the superintendent, CSBO, that these bills be paid with the notation we're going to consider safe and sound billing separately. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. 5-0 votes in affirmative, this board has approved the paying of the bills that you presented to us, Superintendent Warble. At this time, we want to do consideration of safe and sound billing, and we want to note that Mr. Brogan is recusing himself on this paying of this bill. So the chair would move that we pay safe and sound billing.
Second.
As presented. Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Mr. McBride, this board pay safe and sound billing as presented to us by the superintendent and CSBO. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect that by 4 votes in the affirmative, this board has approved you to pay safe and sound, and that Mr. Brogan has abstained from the paying of that bill. Transfers and supplements. Superintendent Ward.
You want to talk about that?
I did, in your packet, you all have a copy of all the transfers and
Is that
supplements.
budget revision?
Yes.
Okay.
And I tried to put them on the Dropbox, however, I don't have access to put those on there, so that's why you have the hard copies in front of you.
Can you just point out the highlights of what exactly?
Yeah, so the top part of it, the 2.6 million, that is just budget adjustments that had to be made, whether it was moving from, one program to another program or one location to another location. And then the bottom part of it is any supplemental grants that we received, and we've received approximately $67,000 worth of grant awards within the last month. So that's what those are. And then the supporting document is just every account code that adjustments have been made to.
So Superintendent Warble, you certify these are routine and necessary transfers? and-
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I make a motion, we approve the transfers and supplements.
Chair will second that. There's a motion on the floor, Vice President Farley, seconded by the chair, that this board approve the transfers and supplements as presented to us by CSBO and Superintendent. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. Minutes should reflect the 5 votes in the affirmative. This board has approved the transfers and supplements as presented to us by CSBO and Superintendent. Moving on, old business, I see we have none.
Right.
It's good that we don't have old business. We go to new business now, and we have item A, 13A, approved purchases over $20,000. Superintendent Warble?
It's not applicable tonight.
Nothing, okay.
No.
Moving now to new business, item 13B. Business approved 2021 ELA textbook adoption committee. And that is the teachers or people in our system who will evaluate from different companies the different samples of ELA textbooks that we may choose, from which we may choose to buy. We will make choices. And that committee has to be approved by the board, and you'll notice the names are there. Vice President Farley, I'm going to recuse myself from this. I'm going to ask that you handle this. I'm going to leave the room because of the fact that I represent a company in 54 other counties. I want to recuse myself because I will have no impact on the committee selection on textbook adoption.
Okay.
Just yell at me when you're done.
Alright. Alright, so we have the English Language Arts textbook adoption for 2021. As I mentioned earlier, when we were doing the adjustments to the agenda, we have the removal of Brianna Medley, and we have added Anissa Blaylock to this list. Do I have an emotion? Do I have a motion for the approval for this list?
I make a motion to approve of this.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. Let the minutes reflect that by a 4-0 vote with 1 abstention, that being Mr. Duncan, who has recused himself, so I guess it would just be a 4-0.
Yep.
The motion has passed. We bring him back in.
New business item 13C, approve the request for statement of qualifications for architectural engineering design services for Summers County High School. Superintendent Warble.
Since we did emergency removal of the middle school and then we closed the middle school and moved them to now 6 through 12 at the high school facility, what we need to do, you have paperwork here that we have to put in the Register Herald for 2 weeks for RFP or qualifications of a firm to come in and look at working with the School Building Authority and Summers County Board of Ed on putting together information to say we can handle this addition on this high school facility. There's a lot of information in here that these people have to meet the specs. There is a rubric in here with points. And then we have a timeline of when people submit their stuff to their information to Mr. Widows. And basically we have from February 5th to the 12th, we're going to advertise. People can express interest and ask questions by February 19th. By February 26th, the county and SBA authority review of all firms. On March 4th, we have to do interviews. Then we have to select a firm by March 9th. Then on the 11th, at our regularly scheduled board meeting, you all will approve who that firm will be. And then we will go into a contract with this firm, whoever wins out with the rubric that's provided. And that's where we'll use Bowles and Rice as our attorneys to help guide us with a contract. So basically, this is a boilerplate way of moving forward to get a firm to come in and work with us for that addition as we move forward with the school building authority in our county.
Did you need a,
Basically, I need for you all to approve that it's okay for us to move forward in a timely fashion, because if we're going to go for SBA money, we have to do this process, and I'll do my report on the rest of, I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but we do have to get this done now and approve it, because the timeline is very tight to when I need to go in front of the SBA for the money to build onto that facility in March. I do a presentation, and so we need to, you know, it's February next week. Yeah, it just blows my mind that we're to February. So that's what I need is approval so we can move forward with this timeline.
at what date does this go in the Register Herald?
The 5th and the 12th, February.
5th to the 12th.
Yep.
That satisfies the statute.
It'll be under the legal classified area where we have to put a legal document saying this is what we're looking for, and that satisfies all the requirements of West Virginia Code.
Do any members have any questions you'd like to address to Superintendent Warble or any of his staff regarding this posting that they're going to put in the Register Herald as required? If there are no questions, the chair would move that this board approve the request for statement of qualifications for architecture and engineering design services for Summers County High School as presented to us by Superintendent Warble and his staff.
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor, seconded by Vice President Farley. Motion on the floor of the chair that this board approve the request for statement of qualification for architecture and engineering design services for Summers County High School as presented to this board by Superintendent Warble and his staff. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. Superintendent Warble, your minutes can record that by 5 votes in affirmative, this board has approved the request for statement of qualifications for architecture and engineering design services for Summers County High School. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you.
We'll go to item 13D. Approved teacher candidate early field and clinical experiences at Tulkin Elementary. Superintendent Warble.
Kendall, I'm not sure, is it Training? Training. Okay, we'll be doing the training there, and we just need approval for you all to move forward with this program.
Knowing that student, having had the privilege of having her in class, I would like, as chair, I would like to move this board approve teacher candidate early field and clinical experience at Tulkin Elementary for this, for Kendall training.
I'll second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion on the floor of the chair, second by Vice President Farley. This board approves superintendent recommendation for teacher candidate early field and clinical experiences at Tulkin Elementary for this training. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining. 5 votes in the affirmative. We approved item 13D. 13E, new business. Approved COVID-19 addendum for 2020-2021 memorandum of understanding between Summers County Schools and Concord University. Superintendent Warble.
Basically, you have this addendum in front of you that states that we have a critical shortage of subs. I know that's hard to believe, but we have a critical shortage in subs in all categories, professional and service. And so working with Concord, basically it's trying to give us some flexibility to allow them, the student teachers and working with the Concord University to have them come into our facilities and be able to sub in the place of a sub that normally would do it, but we can use these student teachers now to help work with that gap that we have right now. We're not the only county dealing with this. This is across all 50 states. And I know we're having a shortage, but we also have to be realistic. We think we have it bad, but think about our healthcare professionals with their shortage. So yes, we have it bad, but we have to be realistic about things. We're okay, but this is just another way to help us out and any other counties in the state to use student teachers to come in and sub during that time.
Is this the first time we've actually taken this initiative in this county? Can you all tell me, those of you who've been here for a while?
I have. They're saying yes, and they've never lied to me before, so.
All right. Well, that seems innovative, and so I guess this memorandum of understanding will be a reflection of checking these students out just like we would if we're taking them as student teachers, correct?
Yeah, and what we're going to try to do is indoctrinate them to maybe want to work here
Here to
too.
work.
This is a great time to check out what their abilities are, and also they'll get paid at the same
And
time.
they will get paid.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, and you may be getting a head start with some potential candidates.
I hope so.
Chair would entertain any motion from any member.
I'll make a motion we approve the COVID-19 addendum to 2021 memorandum of understanding between Summers County Schools and Concord University.
We have a motion on the floor by
Second.
Mr. Brogan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. 5 votes in the affirmative, Mr. Warble. We thank you for, you and your staff for this proactive innovation, and we'll see how that works. You let us know.
We'll give you an update.
Okay, appreciate that. We're gonna move now to personnel items, and, we're gonna deal with several of these, I think, in mass, if there's no objection by any members. Okay. So let's look at personnel items, employment professional. This has been posted on the website the appropriate number of days. Everybody has a copy in front of them. So we have employment professional, based on recommendation by the superintendent. We have employment professional substitute, superintendent recommendation. We have service personnel, superintendent recommendations, properly published. And then we have, let's deal with those first, okay? And then we'll come to the next ones, okay? I move that this board accept the recommendations of the superintendent for professional employment as presented to us and posted, as well as employment professional substitutes recommended by the superintendent, and employment for service personnel superintendent recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by chair, seconded by Vice President Farley, that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for professional employment, professional substitute employment, and employment service personnel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. By 5 votes in affirmative, Mr. Warble, those candidates per your recommendation have been approved. That brings us to the next item, which is resignation retirement professional. And these were substitute teachers, as I see. Okay? And we have 5 people who have submitted they want to retire from that. Superintendent, on behalf of the board, we want to thank all those people for any and all services they have provided for Summers County. We wish them well. So, is there a motion?
I make a motion we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the resignation and retirements listed,
For
Second.
substitutes?
for substitutes.
Okay, a motion on the floor by Vice President Farley, second by Mr. McBride, that we accept superintendent's recommendations for resignation, retirement of substitute teachers that were posted on the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. 5 votes in the affirmative, Superintendent Warble. Those Resignation retirements have been approved. That will take us now to leave request professional. Superintendent recommends the following, and this is your recommendation, Superintendent Warren, for this.
Yes, sir. We've had a lot of the building behind you. I think this year about 5 people having children, which that's job security. But
All in the water over there.
I think though in the whole country, 5 years from now, the incoming kindergarten in 2025, we're going to see a big baby boom.
So noted. Okay. Chair will entertain your motion.
I make a motion we approve the superintendent's recommendations for leave for the two listed.
I second it. So there's a motion on the floor by Vice President Farley, seconded by the chair, that this board approve the superintendent recommendation for leave request per professional personnel. Those names haven't been posted on the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 5 votes in the affirmative, Superintendent Warble, for approval of your recommendation on professional leave requests. Item 15, approve in and out of county requests. None?
None.
Good. Superintendent's report. Superintendent Warble.
I have 2 things. One I'll report on, and then I'll have Ms. Crook report on some finances. The only thing I have is tomorrow I'm going to hand deliver our SBA proposal. It's due tomorrow or the end of the month or early next week, but we have to get it in. I want to hand deliver it. We've already electronically sent it, but I want to meet the gentleman who used to be in the position who represented us was Mike Hall. Mike did a great job. He knows a lot about this area. The only bad thing is he resigned and took a job somewhere else with a firm. There's a new gentleman there, Dana Womack, and I want to get to know him. He and I are going to have a meeting tomorrow. I wanted to set that up so he could get to know me, know a little bit about the area, and then eventually I'd like him to come and see what the school was that the kids were in and our proposal. He'll know the proposal because he's in charge of that part of it, but it's just nice to get a face and a name together and build that relationship. The other gentleman I want to see is Tommy Young. He deals with school facilities with the West Virginia Department of Ed. So it'll be nice to hand him our proposal as well. And then I'd also like to give a copy to Superintendent Birch. He's very busy, but as long as I hand it to his office, at least he'll have a copy. It's always nice to have a document in your hand that you know that you hand delivered, and then it's all about networking and getting to know these people. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. I want to thank everybody in the central office here. It has not gone with 1 or 2 people getting this done. It's a team effort, and I'm proud of the people that are sitting right here beside me and the one over there in the corner sitting beside you, Mr. Duncan, that everybody's done a team effort to make this happen. If you really think about July when you hired me and what you all have done to go with me on this trip to make sure we get these kids and staff a better environment, we're not even done. This is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot that needs to be done, but having said that, our kids are in a better place, and so is our staff when you talk about ADA requirements and better air with a $4 million project that just is almost completed with a HVAC system at that facility. So we're pretty excited about this, but just one day at a time right now. But we want to not get the cart before the horse. And if you have any questions about it, basically we filled out all the paperwork, all the documentation's been done, and I know Mr. Widows gets frustrated when they send something back saying, you might want to think about this. You think you're always done and you crossed every T and dotted every I, but that's why they get paid their job to keep track of things as we move forward. Because there's other counties, you mentioned 54 other counties earlier, Mr. Duncan, they have needs too. And so we can't just say ours is better or worse than someone else's. We have to just present the facts and work with people and network with them. So that's all I have for the SBA proposal that we're ready to submit to them. You've done all the work approving everything. This is nothing you have to improve. You just need to know we're almost there.
Any members have any comments you want to make to Mr. Warble?
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm continually getting questions of a timeline? Do we have any sort of timeline whatsoever when we might be able to do the steps? When we're gonna be possibly in the dirt, starting to...
Okay, this is very hypothetical, and I don't.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay, so it's being recorded now. So just let you know that this is very hypothetical. Let's say we get the blessing from the SBA and they do provide us money in April. Then it would be a year from April that when we would dig, because the timeline is getting the firms, getting all the people, clerk of works. There's a whole list of things that we have to do working with the SBA since you're adding on to a facility. So if we don't get it in April, we'll try to get the money in December. Again, it's the following December that you'd be able to dig, which technically you can't really dig this time of year. You'd wait till the spring. I mean, that's where you are. So a timeline would be once we get approval for the money, it's kind of like a levy. It's about 18 months later. That's usually when you see it, kind of like taxes. It's always the year later. So that would be the soonest I would predict, if that helps you out with the timeline.
Any other questions or comments by board members? Superintendent Warble, this board wishes you much success. I've talked with you, I've seen the work that you and your staff have done. Thank you, and all those people you talk to tomorrow, please give them the board's best. We appreciate your effort and time with them, okay?
I will.
So let us know. We don't want to put any pressure on you in any way. Just
Now,
drive safe
the only
tomorrow.
pressure I have right now is, are we going to school in person tomorrow? Because that's
There you
what
go.
people want to know.
This will be a piece of cake. This will be a piece of cake because I've seen the document. You all are well prepared, and so it's in somebody else's hands, and that's the way it goes. And then in March, we're going to make a formal request of the SBA.
Yes.
After they've had an opportunity to look at this.
The other thing is, just let you know, I want Ms. Crook to give you guys some updates with finances. And before she speaks, I will let you know that you are going to get ready for some heartburn as we show you some things with more monies. And I don't want to go too much into detail, but the federal government has allowed us to have a stimulus. And I told you at the last meeting, it's around $3.4 million. You also have Biden now just got in as a president, and now there's another stimulus package deal. If we receive more money, and I know it's millions of dollars, I want people to know this much, Mr. Brogan, since you asked the hypothetical, and I want people to hear this. There's a lot of strings attached to that, so don't think money means more solutions. Sometimes it can be more problems with getting to a solution, and I don't want people to think, well, you got this money. There's a lot of strings attached, and we will make sure you guys know on a monthly basis. I know you guys want me to, with my evaluation, do a quarterly, but I feel like we need to do a monthly with you guys to know exactly what's going on, to be transparent, and also to let people know this is not an easy task. It's nice to win money. You can do whatever you want. You got to pay your taxes and you're done. And hopefully you don't have a lot of family and neighbors that want that money once you win. But this isn't a lottery. This is actually money that our taxpayers, this is not free money. This is taxpayer money. And I want to be cautious as we move forward with taxpayers' money that there's a lot of strings attached. So you as board members, I want you to be able to answer questions, and also putting it out there on the internet. People will know it's very transparent what Summers County Schools are doing with said money. So other than that, I'll turn it over to you. I didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
Oh, no, you're fine. Like you said, we did meet today about the second round of ESSAR funding. We're getting approximately $3.4 million is what Summers County will be getting. The state withheld approximately 10% of that fund for loss of learning. So not only are we getting this, not only did we get $937,000, and now we're getting another 3.4, we'll also get another chunk of change for just learning loss. So we're kind of working on plans, tentative plans for that money, what we can do to help our students. And also, it kind of does give our county a chance to cope with some things that we may have been lacking in prior to this time. But with that being said, Summers County is getting ready to get a lot of resources. Not only have we had a lot of Title I funds that our elementary schools have been able to really utilize over the last couple of years, but now with looking at this COVID money, that's a lot of resources that we can pass on to our students in this county. I did put in your packets a couple of things. The month of October, November, and December, revenue and expenditures are in there, so you can see what we look like. At the end of October, we've received about 32% of what our budgeted revenues were for the year, and in November we had approximately 39%. And December, our revenues went down some. Our tax collections were down. We were only at about 44% of revenues collected at the end of December. Also, one thing that I would like to note as well is the interest that we've received so far this year. In the first 6 months this year, we've already received $10,000 worth of interest on our deposits, which the rate that we have, it's like 1.34 on our money, which I think is really a great rate at this point in time. And we had only budgeted that we'd get about $12,000 in revenue on our interest. So I think that's a great accomplishment at this point in time. And our December cash balance was approximately $1.5 million. So we have a pretty healthy cash basis right now. The business office is trying to make sure we're doing monthly drawdowns. So any of those federal dollars that we're receiving, we are also drawing down, so there's not a lapse that we're spending county funds to get our federal dollars back. So that's kind of the business office. We have lots of stuff going on right now, just ordering COVID supplies, that sort of stuff. But right now we're looking pretty good in the business office.
Thank you, Ms. Crook.
Thank you.
I wanted to add one more thing in my report. I only said 2 things. Just be quick. I got to thank Mr. Lester. Make sure you get your. Is it on there? Not me, but on the screen. Look how beautiful our new Summers County Board of Ed website looks. You have the city of Hinton. You have pictures of Sandstone Falls. You have the schools. And what I like is we put in there some little history about the community. You can see some pictures here. That's pretty cool. What I want people to know that, is it this one with school pictures, old ones?
It's history.
This one?
History.
Where is it?
Just go down.
What?
Down.
Oh, thank you. So anyway, what we like to do is people out in the community, if you have some pictures that we could put on the website, it's always good to see where we've come from and then where we're going to go. And we just have a couple pictures so far, but I want to thank Mr. Lester for making this user-friendly. And so what I'd like is at the next board meeting, just to put you all on notice, to wear something a little bit like you're going to church. And we will put your picture on the website so people know who you are, because we want to make this where people can come here and see all the stuff that's going on here at this county. So again, I want to thank Mr. Lester for putting together this website, because it's not easy to do.
And there's a batch of updates. FAQs are being received from the principals as Mrs. Farley requested.
Thank you, because I'm glad you brought that up. Mrs. Farley, you asked us to do something, and we're working on that.
And
Thank you.
so the principals are providing FAQs. I've received them from the tips already. The list of purchases on COVID stimulus money, or CARES Act, excuse me, that's probably a better, Marcia has given those to me. There's a battery of updates that'll be put on this soon. I just haven't had time this week with other things that have been more important as far as the students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. Much
Looks good.
needed improvements, very professionally done, and thank you. That's all I can say about this thing. Superintendent Ward, with those monies on COVID for the stimulus, you already said a lot of strings attached, so you have your job cut out for you to keep us all out of trouble, don't you?
Yeah, because there's one thing about telling doctor not to keep me out of special education jail or food jail. Now we're trying to just keep out of jail, because, and I know we're laughing, but you got to find the levity in all this, because it can stress a guy or a gal out real quick. But I will say that I'm very very pleased with the people I've inherited at this central office, that they're all team players and they all just help out. And you know that small print, other duties as assigned, they kind of know that already because they are doing what's best for the kids in this community, and it has not gone unnoticed. I can't thank them enough for helping out with just a new guy coming in here, jumping in head first, and then also now we got this CARES Act money that we got to make sure we expedite it and be very judicious when we move forward with things. But we will keep you all in the loop because that's what we're supposed to do. And we want to make sure our community knows how we've spent money on CARES Act. So we'll do the best we possibly can to make sure it's very transparent.
Two things, people are listening in. I want you to know those monies are federal monies.
Yep.
The federal government does not give out monies with all kinds of strings. There's only certain things we can use that for. Period. Secondly, you brought up a point about your central office staff. I travel around all over the state and I see central office staff. And we're a small county and everybody needs to know we get a lot of bang for the buck here. We have people in this room who do 2 or 3 jobs that are done by 2 or 3 people in other counties. So it is a very difficult job they do, and coming from Fayette County, I'm going to guess you have a smaller staff than Superintendent George had. Do you or do you not?
Yeah, honestly,
Okay,
it's
do not
that.
sit on that. We thank you all because you wear a lot of hats, you do a lot of jobs that 2 or more people do in other counties. We appreciate it. Can't do much for you other than say thank you, and we're sorry we can't do better for you, but that's the way it is. So there you go. Having said that, any discussions or requests for the next agenda? Superintendent Warren, I'll be talking with you sometime next week
Yep.
about some things that
Could you,
we may want to do. Go ahead.
could you come up with a list of how many students we've lost this year?
You mean like that have gone to homeschool?
Yeah, or just disappeared?
Yeah, we can do that. One thing I will tell you, we can make that happen. I won't go into any more detail other than yes, I'll get that, and then I'm going to give you some disclaimers about how that works out if they'd want to come back. We can talk about that as well. We want them to come back.
Anything else by any members? I would want to say then that apologize for the length and longevity and my windiness, but one of the things that we were told was important that in the past we did not spend enough time on student achievement, and I acknowledge that, and that's something that we're striving to improve upon, and we are spending that time now. The last 2 meetings have been very reflective of that. So again, took a lot of time, but I think that's important because that is what we're about, student achievement. Having said that, Ms. Farley, you're on.
I make a motion we adjourn. The time is now 7:42.
We stand adjourned.